As soon as Bonney popped the balloon that was created literally by Kuma, and it regrouped basically his whole memories of his whole life, that's when the whole revelation of Kuma came through in One Piece. And it's basically literally all of his backstory, all of his memories, and everything that happened to him and everything that he did throughout his life. And we can just say one thing, and literally Kuma is the best father character in all of anime, and let's talk about it throughout this video. From the backstory of Kuma, we understand that his story is very dramatic and very touchy, very emotional, and it started when he literally was a baby, and the doctor discovers that he was a buccaneer. He was not a human per se in One Piece, but a buccaneer, and a buccaneer is a human that has giant blood in himself. So that's why his body is a little bit unusually bigger than the regular human body in a way. But that was not a stop for them to actually live. And with his dad and his mom, his dad was a buccaneer and his mom was a human. And they were living happily ever after in a church for a long ass time until the world government discovered that, oh yeah, there's probably some buccaneers or whatever in that section, because they basically went into the hospital and into the doctor's paperwork and all of that about all of his patients. And since they discovered that there were buccaneers, Kuma, the dad and the mom all went and became slaves in Marijois. From there, we understand hell literally started for Kuma, because right as they get to Marijois, literally a couple days later, you can already see that they have those cuffs around their necks, basically slaves in Marijois. And at some point, the dad is telling Kuma, yeah, Kuma, you are strong, you can endure, just keep on going and just live, But then another day, his dad comes to him, and from that talk, Kuma asks his dad the question, yeah, do you know where his mother is, basically? And Kuma's dad literally tells him that basically his mom literally just died because of illness or whatever, which I don't believe. I probably believe that she died probably because of a celestial dragon. You know how dirty they are and all of that, and how nasty they are. So probably that's what happened. And right as he tells that to Kuma, you can see that Kuma is crying a little bit and all of that, but his dad is trying to reassure him on, it's okay, we just gotta keep on living, it's okay, And right as he's trying to reassure him, and he starts on doing the Nika dance and all of that right in front of him, a celestial dragon is coming by, and literally he shoots Kuma's dad in the back right in front of Kuma. And you can clearly see, for example, in the anime, his dad's blood literally on his face and his shockness in front of the scene, And you understand the whole situation. It's literally very, very emotional. And from that point of view, I totally give it a heads up to One Piece, because literally One Piece started from literally goofiness to the point where now it is literally to the point where it creates such specific emotions in everybody that's watching those episodes. I am telling you, One Piece, and by far, is literally the best show you can be watching. But basically, right after his dad died, he still kept on living and kept on being a slave for the world government and the celestial dragons, until the event that happened on the God Valley, where he met with Ivankov and Genie. And with everything that happened, they basically called on the biggest pirates to show up to that island, and literally one of the biggest fights of One Piece happened on that island. But after that, thank God, they were able to go away, and basically Kuma at that point was able to use a devil fruit called the pawpaw fruit, and that pawpaw fruit can make you travel for like 3 days, and you can basically attack with it, and you can also take away people's pains in a way. And we already saw that in the previous episodes and chapters and all of that, where he did that with Zoro. Everybody remembers. And when they got away from God Valley, they went back to the island where Kuma came from, and he went back with Ginny, and they lived happily ever after for a couple of years, until problems started. Then they got some ties with the revolutionaries and all of that, and Kuma actually became an officer, like one of the top ranked officer of the revolutionary army, like one of the three main officers, for example. And right as Kuma was living his life as a revolutionary, and basically after his whole adventures with the revolutionary army and coming back to his island and then going back to the revolutionary army and all of that, Genie gets captured by a world government. Genie gets captured by somebody. That somebody we don't know, but we just know that Genie basically became the 8th wife of a celestial dragon. And from their union or whatever, they had Bonney. And Bonney is born. And since Bonney is born, basically, Genie fled, thank God, the Marijois, but she fled because they were treating her like trash. And she was infected with a disease. Basically, that disease, she had basically scales on her skin, and every time she would be in direct contact with the sunlight, that's when her sickness gets activated. And if she's got too much scales, boom, she dies, And basically, as she got away from Marijois, she contacted Kuma. And she's like, yeah, Kuma, don't even come and bother, because literally I'm about to die, but hopefully you can help this little girl or whatever. And as soon as Kuma heard that on the phone, literally he just was thinking of where she could be. And the only place where she could be was back home, back in the church where they both were. And as he comes back and he sees Genie literally dying, he basically helps her pass away, and at the same time looks at Bonney, and he's like, I will be literally your dad. And from that day, he literally became Bonnie's dad, and he basically grows up with Bonney on the island in the church. But then some problems occur, because right after she hits like 4 years old or something like that, she also starts to get the same kind of sickness that her mom had, those same kind of scale, and she's got some on her skin, basically on her face. And her dad, seeing that, basically spent his whole time and his whole efforts and his whole energy just trying to find her a cure. And for that, he literally brings all of the doctors he knows, and he started basically traveling left and right to go and try and find somebody. And by doing that, basically he started going on adventures himself and discovering, people left and right, and going to specific islands where also the Straw Hats traveled later when, they all got separated for those 2 years and all of that. Yeah, that was thanks to Kuma, because he was the one who visited all of the islands before the Straw Hats went to those islands, because he went there looking for a cure for Bonney, for his daughter, So that in a way also shows you his resolve as a buccaneer, the resolve that he's got to literally save her no matter what, because no matter what he wanted, he just wanted to save her. And at the end, he meets up with Dragon, and Dragon tells him, hey, if you want, I can contact somebody for you, and that somebody is basically the best scientist in the world, and he's called Vegapunk. And I'm like, you couldn't even tell him that first in the beginning. Like he spent so much goddamn time going around the world while you had literally the contact of the best scientist in the world. Like, god damn it, Dragon. But at least he told him that he could go and see Vegapunk. And then that's what basically he does. He went to see Vegapunk. He went and took Bonney with him. And Vegapunk tells him, yeah, I can actually cure her, but it's just going to take a lot of money and a lot of time, So by telling him that, Kuma, of course, is overexcited, because now there is a cure, there is something they can do. But then you get a call in between Saturn, and Saint Saturn is like, yeah, you better not do that. You better transform him and make him a weapon or whatever, and basically make Kuma die, and basically make his body into a cyborg, make him a weapon to the world government, basically. Literally, it is kind of the worst thing you can expect out of somebody. But then Kuma turns around and he's like, I will be happily doing everything you need me to do if you are able to actually cure my daughter. And that's why I am saying that Kuma is the best father character in all of anime possible. Because to the point where you sacrifice literally everything, to the point where you sacrifice even your own life for the sake of your daughter, Bonney in this case, I am telling you, this character deserves the legendary status. Kuma is one of the best, or the best father character in all of anime? Let's debate it in the comments down below. And as basically even in the episodes were really made like a movie. Like literally the episodes number 1136 and 1137, they were basically such beautifully made. So the emotion was beautifully transferred to the audience and all of that. Literally those two episodes really got me to the point where I was like, yeah, we need to literally make a whole ending video in a way to honor basically Kuma's life, because Kuma totally deserves to be called the best father character in all of anime. And so after saving Bonnie's life and saving her from, literally dying at her 10th birthday, no, she actually gets to live. Even if Kuma loses basically his consciousness and his life, his body gets to keep on going. But at the end, how evil Saint Saturn was, he asks actually Vegapunk to put a self-destruct button on Kuma. So basically, if Kuma goes against the orders or whatever, boom, he can self-destruct him, And that's what basically Saint Saturn did. But actually, it did not happen that way, because I don't believe that Vegapunk actually put that switch on Kuma, and maybe that switch was for something else that gets released in Kuma, and it was not a self-destruction mode or something. Because from him clicking basically the button, that's when literally Kuma turned around and he started on booking it for the destination where Saint Saturn was. And where he was basically was with Vegapunk, and basically right on the moment where he was gonna kill Bonney. But right at that time, legendary moment again, Kuma comes out of nowhere, basically with no consciousness, with no nothing, but still out of pure nature, he comes and protects his daughter, because basically she was gonna get stabbed by Saint Saturn, but boom, Kuma comes in and he protects her literally by his back. And Kuma gets stabbed in the back, but still doesn't get hurt. And after he gets that spine out of him or whatever, boom, he turns around and he puts one of the biggest fists ever towards Saint Saturn. Basically the same move that we got from Luffy that punched Saint Charlos back in the day on Sabaody. Basically the same scene, but now we got Kuma doing the same thing to Saint Saturn. Basically that same epic legendary scene. I am telling you guys, if you haven't watched those latest episodes of One Piece, go watch it. It is totally worth it. And so from all of this, from all of the backstory of Kuma, we understand that Kuma is literally, maybe due to his DNA, due to the fact that he's a buccaneer or something, maybe there is a natural resolve that makes his body just naturally go and protect what he needs to protect and help those he needs to help. Just like he helped Luffy back in the day, like 2 years ago. And now for his future, when we follow the latest chapters, well, Kuma is actually he was on the ship with all of the Straw Hats and all of that, and they are all on Elbaf. We don't know per se what's going on with Kuma and Bonney per se. Bonney with Vegapunk on Elbaf, they are going into that science lab or whatever, and I'm thinking that Kuma must be next to them or right close to them or something like that, So from that perspective, I'm thinking that Kuma might have a future. He might get repaired on Elbaf or something, and he might still keep on going. Maybe not with the consciousness and all of that, because I believe that Kuma is already gone, but at least his body will probably still be useful to help in the future, And at least he'll be on the side of Nika too. And on that note, guys, let me know what you think about this theory down in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.